In the last 14 days, we were able to make 11,000 creatives, and in the month of February we were able to make over 20,000 creatives, and right now we can easily make more than 1,000 creatives every single day. Currently at this moment in time, today is the 7th of March, we are making 700 to 800 creatives every single day. So these are new hooks, new iterations, new ideas, new concepts, new angles, testing different image ads and all kinds of creatives. With this process, you should be able to find winning ads, winning angles every single week, if not every single day. All right, so let's dive in. Before we do that, I'll have to put on my glasses. There are two main pillars to this. The first one is just having a system that is super simple and easy to follow. And the second pillar is having a way to consistently generate new ideas for your ads. And what I mean by having a system that is simple is pretty much you should be able to have a system where whenever a new idea comes across, a new hook or whatever it is, once that idea is presented, it would get executed seamlessly. It would be very streamlined and there would be no friction from the idea to getting the final output or the video, image, whatever you're looking for. When it comes to ideas, the idea generation process, there should be a way that you consistently come up with new ideas, but a way to make sure that these ideas hit the KPIs that you're looking for. It may be ROAS, it may be CPI, CPA, whatever it is. When you're making this much of volume, it's really easy to neglect quality. So you need to have a system in place where every new idea that comes across or every new idea that you're going to test has a very high likelihood of hitting the KPIs that you're looking for. Let's start with the team and how the team looks like. Essentially, what we have is 4 main roles: the video editors, the project managers, the creative strategist, and assistants. Assistants are just pretty much people who would help you with the day-to-day stuff. Most of the time we just use them to help generate assets because we use a lot of AI generated assets. It's pretty simple. You only have 4 roles, but one thing to keep in mind is to make sure that they follow this principle, that they're a master at one but good at many. I know the saying is master at none, good at many. But I know how the saying goes. The saying is a master at none, but good at many. But this time you need the opposite. You need to make sure that every single person that is on your team knows how to do everyone else's job to a certain extent. They don't have to be really good at it. What they do have to be really good at is the actual role that they're in. For example, if it was a project manager, they should be able to do creative strategy to a certain extent. They should be able to edit videos to a certain extent. They should be able to do those things. That doesn't necessarily mean that they will ever do those things, but they should have an idea on how to do it. And it's very important that one person gets assigned only one thing at a time, but this doesn't mean that they're not able to do other things. So they're assigned to do one thing that they're really good at, but they should have the ability to do everything else to a certain extent. The reason that we need this kind of team structure is when you're going to produce creatives at a very large scale, things are going to break all the time. It may be an editor does not do something, they made a mistake, there's no assets for the video, a creative strategist's girlfriend broke up and they can't do anything. Stuff like that happens all the time. So it's important you don't have just project managers, just creative strategists, just video editors. You have people that can solve problems. This was something very huge that I neglected at the beginning that we have implemented now that really allowed us to get to the next level, is making sure that you have people who can solve problems and not necessarily just a project manager. So once you have this team in place, what's going to be most important is making sure that you actually hit the KPIs that you're looking to hit. And what I'm going to show you is how we've been doing things. And this is what has worked for us. And different people might have different ways of approaching it. But me personally, this is what I think works the best. In order for you to hit KPIs, the team must be super obsessed and focused on the product that you're selling. The core creative team, right? The essentially the project managers, the creative strategists, the certain video editors, they should be really focused and obsessed with what they're selling. And every single person in your creative team should be an A player. But one thing to keep in mind, which is one way I fucked up, is making sure that once you have people that are really good, to making sure that they don't burn out. So make sure whenever you allocate work that these people get the amount that they can handle. Don't overdo it. Especially when it comes to creative things, it's really hard to recover whenever you have creative burnout and when you're stressed. So make sure that the work you allocate to everyone isn't above the amount that they can handle. Make sure it's an amount that's right there. So one of the major discoveries that was present with almost every single one of our clients. When they're working with agencies, what apparently happened was they would do really well at the start, and then the quality would drop and it would overall be a really horrible experience. And funny enough, I personally don't like working with agencies either, because that's the exact same reason. The quality would drop. They would not do their best because you're just a number to them, right? Boom, we closed you at 5K, over to the next client. And this is the problem. So if you want to be able to hit those KPIs that you want a singular team, a set of people that will only be focused on that certain product. They should pretty much eat, sleep, drink whatever that they're selling, whatever product that they're part of. If you are a mobile app studio, one thing to keep in mind is, yes, you could assign the same creative strategists and video editors to multiple apps, but the best thing to do is just give a certain team a certain app and tell them to just work on it. The reason for this is they need to just be the product. They need to really get in the product. They need to really understand the audience, the way to edit, what works, what doesn't work. A very good example of this is in our company. What would happen is whenever someone working on a specific app would see a TikTok or an Instagram reel, they would share it in, we have a Slack channel called Ad Ideas. They would share it there and then tell us, okay, this could work for this app. Because of this, we can change this and this and this. So whenever you're on social media, whenever you're outside, whatever it is, you always have the product that you're selling, the app that you're selling in your head. And if you find something interesting, it's very easy for you to spot patterns and be like, hey, this thing would work really well for the app that I'm working on. So that is why you need to assign a set of people to one task or one product at a time. So one of the things that I've realized, I'm having trouble myself, maybe I'm wrong here, I honestly don't know, is it's really difficult to create an SOP around creativity. It's not something where I can create a document and be like, hey, this and this and this is how you become creative and all that stuff. But yes, you could create an SOP around the pain points, features, what works, what doesn't work, and all of that. But when you have to come up with consistent new ideas, it's really difficult to be like, if you read this document, you're going to be able to come up with new ideas like every 10 minutes. It doesn't work like that. So the people that you have on your team, especially creative strategists, project managers, even video editors, they should naturally be creative people. So when you're hiring them, make sure there is a certain assessment, or in the interview, you ask specific questions to check if a person is just naturally creative or not. So now that you have the team, you know what to hire and you know what to look out for. How do you actually scale this creativity? You need to be creative at scale. And once again, it goes back to what I said earlier. You need a team that is focused on one product at a time, and they are really obsessed about that product. Really genuinely need to like what you're selling, or it's going to be hard. And one thing that has really worked well for us is when you're creating a lot of creatives, you're going to find patterns. You're going to find creating this type of video works well, this type of body works well, this feature works really well, saying these certain words work really well, this call to action works really well. You're going to find specific patterns. So when you have identified these patterns, it's very easy for you to execute on new ideas. Now let me give you an example that happened to us. For one of the apps that we're working on, we found out that memes and then super organic looking videos worked really well. So whenever we came up with a new idea, plus all the existing ideas, we would just create a bunch of variations of every single thing that we had, but with an organic video at the start, organic as in like a UGC video, plus memes at the start. Obviously, you would need to change some things and sometimes it won't work, but most of the time, there's a chance that it would work. I'll make a different video on how to come up with ideas, concepts, iterations, and all of that stuff. But having this data, having recognized these patterns, it's going to be significantly easier for you to execute on new ideas because you have that data. You know this body would work. So whenever you come up with the concept, you just combine all of them and create it. So it has a very high likelihood of it working or not, and you would know whether the concept would work because you've put things that have been proven to work on a new idea. And if it doesn't work, then you can change it. It still doesn't work, cut it off, and move on to a different idea. End of the day, you just need really good people on your team, and everything else becomes comparatively easier. And one of the other ways that we've been able to hit KPIs is by iteration. So remember I said you need to find patterns and find common things that has worked throughout. So you would take that information and you need to come up with a way where you can create 50 to 100 iterations on a singular winning ad. Because this can be the reason that you go from having one winning ad from one concept to having 10 just because of the iterations. So you need to have a way, whenever you get a winning ad, you put it into your framework and it blasts out 50 iterations. And these things doesn't have to be, changing the hook, changing the headline or whatever. You could generally create the whole ad again just by using UGC creators. Or you can use ARCADs or whatever it is. Just be creative, come up with different ways, come up with a system. Whenever you have a winning ad, you just iterate. Some of our clients have requested over 500 iterations at a time, because when you have a winning ad, it's so much easier to get data on why the ad works, right? So you change the headline, change the starting video, change the pictures, change the music, colors, every single thing. And I honestly think it's much easier to find more winning ads by iterating on a winning ad. The way it came out was weird, but because you already know it works, you just have to figure out why exactly it worked and just blast iterations on it. And this has worked really well for us in the last couple of months. So that's pretty much the way that you need to structure the whole ideation process and the process where you come up with ideas. And now comes the part after the idea where you need to execute on it, where you need to edit, graphic design, whatever it is. So I personally do the creative strategy for most of our clients just because I just find it fun. I don't know, I just enjoy doing it. So to this day, I still do the creative strategy. But once I come up with the idea, I record a loom on what I want. That's it. That's all I need to do. Maybe I create a little storyboard, maybe not. But I just need to do that little process. And from there on, a project manager would come on and create a document that you can give to an editor and they could edit. So your project managers should really understand video editing and video editors, both of them. The best project manager that we have is a video editor, because they understand what they would need, how it would need to be communicated for them to edit. We make all of these documents, the creative brief, in a way that an editor won't have to think. So one of the crucial roles would be the project manager, because they would need to talk with the creative strategists, talk with the video editors, and basically find common ground on how efficiently can they communicate the idea across. Because trust me, it is much easier to take your time creating the brief clearly than do revisions, because revisions is a fucking headache. Now remember at the start, I told you something about every person being able to do a little bit of everything is because of quality assurance. So one of the things that we struggled at the start was making sure that every single edit was exactly how the creative strategist envisioned it to be. And this is difficult to do because if you take it as a pyramid, at the top of the pyramid, the person with the most idea on how the ad would look like would be the creative strategist. Then it would be the project managers. Why was there hearts? And then it would be assistants, and finally it would be the video editors. The video editors are the people who would have the least idea on what the vision is. So you would need project managers to be able to really understand that vision and communicate it to the editor. So a very good example of this is today this happened. So one of the ads that we made, the problem with that ad was it was just too fast. The cuts were too fast. A person who's watching it won't really have an idea on what's going on. When the editor submitted the video for a review, a project manager checked it and directly told me, hey, I feel like this video is too fast. Do you feel the same? And then he would get that feedback from me and then continue with the video. So you need to have that communication set up really well, where project managers could do it on their own. But if they do have a question, they could come to you as well, you as in the creative strategist. In this case, me. So how do you make this whole process more operationally efficient? How do you make this in a way that editors submit the video, get feedback, boom, 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 and it's done? Is what we've personally done. We've hired a bunch of people for a bunch of time slots so that this operation just runs around the clock. Currently, we just have almost a 20-hour workday. So this is not a singular person working the whole 20 hours. It will be different people, but we would have it around the clock. So whenever a video editor would finish editing the video, they submit it, get feedback, and then finish the video. So throughout the day, videos would get edited. The main reason for this is getting feedback and changing the video. It takes time, even though you don't realize it, it takes time. If a project manager or someone to check the video is not available when a video editor finishes the video, something that would probably take like an hour would take 6. And that's really bad. That's very inefficient. And one more thing is to make sure that you consistently monitor the performance of every single person who's working on the creatives. And we have a Google Sheet where we track every single person's deliverables, how much they produce, what's it looking like, what's the performance every single day, just to see what the performance is like, and to make sure that people who have been consistently underperforming, that's super important, not once or twice, like consistently. It's very important to cut these people off, because number one, it would be very unfair for people that are working really hard. Plus, it will slow down everyone in a way. If you want to increase your scale of the number of creatives that you do, you just need to hire more people. It's that simple. And we have a very unconventional hiring process that most people won't recommend, which I'll make a video on later. And that's pretty much it. It sounds very simple. It's just the execution part of it. It's a bit tricky. So that's pretty much it. And if you have any questions about anything that I talked about, leave them in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Take care.